welcome to FilmPeaks, where we investigate where film peaks or valleys. Today I'm going to be talking about a new in the US movie. So I'm going to keep this spoiler free and I'll show you my score at the end. I'll pop up a riff section and give you a warning. So right now, spoiler free, let's get going. I do have to say a few things first, just so that you understand the context of my opinion here. First, this movie is coming hot off the heels of things like Infinity Castle and Reze arc. So it's going to be hard to live up to the hype of those two movies. The marketing of this movie was a little bit of a debate for me personally. I watched a trailer where they're showing armies of like hundreds of thousands of people fighting and everything. And we're told like it's the story of vengeance, but it does fall into that trope of like forgiveness rather than fighting later on. So if you're going to market it one way, maybe don't portray it in another way. Another example of marketing debates that have affected me would be It Comes at Night. Like it has one of the coolest posters ever, one of the coolest trailers ever, but the movie was kind of completely different than the trailer. Another example would be Mother with Jennifer Lawrence. The way that trailer portrayed it was kind of like a straight up horror movie type of deal, and it wasn't like a bad movie, but it was not what was presented to me in the trailer. Maybe that's on me for watching trailers, but I enjoy watching. That being said, the visuals of this movie were fantastic. Yes, the movie we're talking about today is Scarlet. Apparently this movie came out last year in Japan and it's just now reaching the US. I don't really know. So I was just seeing what movies were playing at my local theater this weekend, and I have a really small theater. It's like 12 screens maybe, and I saw this was playing, so I watched one trailer for it, which happened to be trailer number 2, if you're interested, and they didn't even have a poster for it. It was literally just a white piece of paper with the name on it. So I went in pretty much completely blind. Like at this point, watch the trailer, check out the poster before I say this, but you can't really tell from the trailer I watched that there are elements of the past and the present put together in this. So I wasn't even really expecting that as I watched it. It is directed by Mamoru Hosoda. I don't know if I can pronounce that correctly, but he also directed The Girl Who Leapt Through Time, which makes total sense here. Scarlet is voiced by Mana Ashita, who actually was in Pacific Rim, as well as a bunch of other titles over in Japan. And Masaki Okada actually voices her opposite in the movie, who's also been in a bunch of stuff in Japan as well. Now I have to read you the log line before we continue here. A medieval princess on a quest to avenge her father's death awakens in a realm between life and death, where she encounters an idealistic young man from the present day who shows her the possibility of a future free of bitterness and rage. So again, I didn't read that before going into the movie, but from that, we do know there's an element of the past and present kind of fusing together. My thing with that, though, in the lands between here, essentially, it is said the past, present, and future kind of blend together, but how far in the future are we talking? Because usually if this is a given scenario in a movie, we don't get to see like super far into the future. It's almost like time hasn't passed the present yet, but I'll look past that. Also, with the realm between life and death, I'm not sure about the rules about where you spawn in. Essentially, like Scarlet appears there in the clothes that she was wearing, but Hiji does not, and they also spawn in kind of different locations, so I'm not sure the rules behind that. I don't know if we need to know it. It's just something I noticed. And I think War of Rohirrim came out around this same time, but in 2024. And I can't help but think of that movie. It's a red-haired warrior princess going on a quest for vengeance. And there are big armies and vast areas. And there's even a scene with her wearing a white dress too. And speaking of red-haired princesses, you cannot look at Scarlet and tell me there's not some clear Melina influence from Elden Ring. Even in some of the establishing shots, I'm like, holy shit, this is Caelid. And when people die, they turn into nothingness, which essentially is going hollow. There's even a dragon that could exist in the Soulsborne universe. Like, it's absolutely massive. It has battle scars all over it, and it shoots lightning. And because I think you can only die once here, but essentially that means you can die twice. So there's also kind of shadows die twice influence here as well. Okay, so with those influences in mind, I want to toss you another one. Your name. There is kind of a big tonal shift at some point in the movie, and I kind of don't know how I feel about that. But there is some very interesting dialogue in this movie. At one point, whenever Scarlet's traveling through the lands between, she says out loud, if I was born in a different era, what kind of person would I be? And I think that's very interesting to think about. Like, if you were born in the past or even the future, what would you be doing? And another scene that I think will affect you because it comes out of left field is there is a kind of jarring dance number. I didn't know this was a thing going into the movie. Maybe this is like a well-known thing about it. Again, I knew nothing going into this, but at one point, we kind of do transition to a pretty long music and dance number. Again, I was not expecting that, and it's not that I don't like dancing and singing. I just think it kind of went on for too long, and it is just such a big difference between Elden Ring, Lands Between, to like West Side Story. So with all that being said, I think you kind of need to be in the mood for this movie. It is kind of a very Eastern story. So like, let's take Ronin, 33 Ronin, I think it's called, with Keanu Reeves. That was kind of a very Eastern movie, but given to a Western audience. And speaking of that, that's another big marketing debate with the tattooed pirate guy with the guns. But all right, I think that's all I can really say about this movie without giving spoilers. So we're about to hit the riff section. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. Check out the app. It's on the iOS and Android store. It's free. Check it out. Leave your own review. But anyway, I'm going to pop up my score here in a second. All right, so I'll give you a few seconds. I'm going to throw up my score here. Again, if you find that's a spoiler, now's your chance. Let's begin. So in the beginning, I think we had some really cool establishing shots. Like I said, I thought I was in Caelid there. We're seeing the giant mega dragon fly in the sky. Like, that was badass. We got some light details about the universe, and we see Scarlet's dad die and really, establish the beginning of the movie. And I thought we were starting off very well at an 8.5. We start to see her age with hatred. She just wants to kill her uncle until she finally attempts to do that, which lands her into the other world. And again, seeing the giant dragon flying around, just blasting anything with lightning, like, that was probably the coolest part of the movie. So again, through the rising action, we're probably still hovering along at an 8.0. But as we hit the middle section, I think it starts to drag here for me. Scarlet kind of transitions from being this like battle princess into more like forgiving. We see her fight with the sheath on her sword to try to not kill people. And then anytime somebody's in danger, Hiji just kind of like throws himself to try to save people no matter what happens, which ultimately gets him killed. And then here is where we get that music and dance number. Like, I was not expecting this at all. I was kind of under the impression, like, what the hell am I watching here at this point? But, if you're into that kind of thing, enjoy it. But then as Scarlet tries to become more forgiving, Hiji also starts to be okay with killing people. Like, he mentions the infinite archer and he gets the archer gear, and he does end up killing some people. And so I don't know why there's like the flip-flop there, but I did really enjoy seeing those massive like trading outposts with, like, again, hundreds of thousands of people lined up trying to get into the Infinity Land. But because of certain things going on, I think we're going to dip down to about a 6.0. So as we reach the climax, I think the uncle, how he died was really cool, but leading up to it, that was kind of dragged out a little bit. Scarlet not ending up with Hiji, that's kind of another typical anime ending type of deal. And, she basically just beat Consort Radon at the gate in Shadow of the Erd Tree. I really wish we could have at least got like a glimpse into it. It's not necessary or anything. It's just, me personally, I thought it would have been cool to see, like this long journey. What's on the other side? Let's see a little glimpse in there, but it's not too important. But then also, because she had ascended into the infinite land, that shows her going up the staircase kind of above the sky, but the dragon is still there in that land as well. So again, I'm just not clear on some of the rules of the other world. So overall, it was just kind of like an average climax. So I'll give it a 7.0. So then in the resolution, I was kind of curious the entire time how the uncle was even in the lands between in the first place. And it kind of just wasn't that compelling to me in the end. And then her mom was just kind of a bitch the whole time, and nothing happens to her. She yells at her at the end, runs away, we never see her again. And then cut forward a little bit, Scarlet is giving her speech of a bright future to a crowd of like hundreds of thousands of people again. And this is, there's multiple instances of a figure of power speaking to these large crowds, and everybody being able to hear them speak, even if they have just like, their inside voice going on. I don't really know the best solution for that. It's just something I noticed. But then we get this hopeful, happy future ending, but then Scarlet does end up alone. So it's kind of bittersweet there. So I'll level it off at a 6.5. So what do you think? Is it a compelling enough story? Are you okay with the amount of CGI? Personally, I thought that there would be a lot more action, so I wasn't ready for there to be a lack thereof. But, again, let me know what you think. Snag the FilmPeaks app. It's free. It's on iOS. It's on Android. Let me hear your thoughts. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you at the top.